Hello and welcome to Tea Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle and today I'm going to be running through the plot of Tenet and putting the events on a timeline in chronological order. Warning, this video is all spoilers. Before we start, please consider subscribing to help support this channel so we can keep making videos like this. So here is the full timeline. As we go through it, bear in mind that time inversion is not time travel, so there are no multiple realities and therefore no multiple timelines. Let's go from the start of the film. We begin with the opera house sequence, during which the protagonist's life is saved by someone who inverts a bullet through a bad guy and back into a gun. The mystery person has a backpack with a red tag on it. The protagonist extracts a piece of the algorithm, but he does not yet know that that is what it is. He gets captured and interrogated by the train tracks, presumably by associates of Sata who has not yet been introduced. He eats a suicide pill and wakes up on a boat and is told it was all a test. He gets given the word Tenet and a gesture. He then spends time in a sea windmill place, after which he gets taken to a facility where he tests inverted bullets for himself. The protagonist figures out the origin of the bullets and goes to Mumbai, where he recruits the help of Neil to break into an arms dealer's penthouse. Priya, the arms dealer, tells the protagonist about the bad guy, Sata, who she sold the bullets to. When she sold them, they were not inverted. The protagonist then meets Sir Michael Caine's character in London, who tells him about Sata's wife Kat and her little problem with having authenticated a fake painting for her husband. He meets Kat at the gallery where she works, then at a restaurant where he proposes to fix her little painting problem in return for getting close to Sata. The protagonist beats up some bad guys, including one guy with a cheese grater. Neil and the protagonist plan and execute the Oslo-Freeport plane crash sequence, during which they fight two masked guys, one inverted and one not. The protagonist meets Priya, who tells him about Sata's plutonium business and contact with the future. Then he goes to meet Sata in Italy for dinner, followed by a trip on a yacht the following day. Kat pushes Sata off the yacht, but the protagonist saves him. Sata tips him off about some plutonium being transported in Estonia, but it is all a ruse to help Sata collect another piece of the algorithm that he needs to destroy the present world. Cue the heist in Estonia involving a car chase with an inverted Sata and a non-inverted Kat. The protagonist throws the plutonium, aka a piece of the algorithm, into an inverted Saab that appears and the empty case to Sata. Sata escapes and the protagonist saves Kat from crashing, but they get taken by Sata again. Sata interrogates the location of the algorithm piece from the protagonist by threatening and shooting Kat. The protagonist uses the machine to invert time so that he can find what happened to the algorithm piece. He drives the Saab and realizes that he was the one in the car all along. The protagonist crashes the Saab and Sata picks up the algorithm piece. The protagonist is saved from hypothermia and put back to normal time by Super Army Guy Ives and Neil. In order to save Kat from her gunshot wound, the team go inverted and travel to the Oslo Freeport machine to go back to normal time. When they are there, the protagonist realizes the masked guy he was fighting as his past self was his current future self, and experiences the fight from the other perspective. The protagonist then goes back to Priya. He wants her to not tell his past self to do the Estonia heist because it means Sata gets a piece of the algorithm. However, she says she can't do that because what happens is what is meant to happen. Kat remembers a vacation she was on with Sata and her son on their boat in Vietnam, after which Sata had mysteriously disappeared. The group figures that this is the time that Sata uses to trigger the algorithm by killing himself and destroying the present world. The team use a turnstile machine to invert to that time and hatch a plan for the boys to do a temporal pincer movement to retrieve the algorithm that has been hidden by Sata in a sneaky bunker. In the meantime, Kat must go back to the boat in Vietnam and prevent Sata from leaving the boat to kill himself. I am quickly going to explain how the temporal pincer movement works, as this was requested by a viewer of my Tenet Explained video. In that video, I go through the concepts of time inversion, the grandfather paradox, reverse entropy, and more. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can follow the link above or in the description below to get to it. In the temporal pincer movement, there are two teams, one red and one blue. The protagonist goes with the red team, whilst Neil is part of the blue team. I don't remember the exact time in the film, but I do remember that they start their missions an hour apart. Let's say the blue team start the mission at 2 PM in normal time. They complete their mission before 3 PM and report what happens to the red team. The red team then creates strategies based on that information and start their mission at 3 PM, but do it using inverted time. During the mission, red team see the blue team moving backwards and vice versa. Neither teams have the same people, so essentially each team completes their own mission separately, but use the same time period on the timeline. During the mission, Kat kills Sator on the boat, whilst the protagonist and Ives recover the algorithm, with some help from Neil. At one point during the recovery, the protagonist is saved by the masked figure with the backpack that has the red tag on it. The mystery figure is killed in the process. Ives splits the pieces of the algorithm between himself, the protagonist, and Neil, but Neil gives his piece to the protagonist because he has to invert again. This is so he can complete the loop, as Neil is actually the figure with the red tag on his backpack. Therefore, in the timeline of the film's events, the temporal pincer movement and the Vietnam vacation happen first. After this is the opera house sequence, and so on. The final scene, where we see the protagonist killing Priya, is sometime after the events in Estonia, but whilst Kat's son is still young. So there we have it, the timeline of Tenet in chronological order. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to see more videos, and comment with your thoughts on the topic. What is your favourite scene in Tenet? This has been Tea Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle, and I hope you have a great day.